As predicted, the blame game and the lack of accountability is in full swing. I want to give you a breakdown of the whole assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump and the leadership dynamics that are taking place. I will not make this a terribly long video, and there's other things like the RNC that's going on right now. I'll comment on a couple of those things. Again, not from a political perspective, but from a leadership perspective. So first and foremost, I'll do the easy low-hanging fruit. All of these media sources are pointing their fingers at all kinds of people. They're trying to blame the Secret Service. They're trying to blame law enforcement. They're trying to blame even Donald Trump for provoking things and the Republicans versus the Democrats. And it's pretty terrible. So we knew that was going to happen, predicted that over the last couple of days, and we're going to continue to see more of that. Here's where we really need to observe for leadership. One, will anybody like Congress step up, appoint a special committee? Will they oversee the FBI's investigation? Because there's a lot of doubt in modern times that the FBI will do their job. There is objective, evidence-based findings that the FBI have sabotaged and attempted to frame Donald Trump. So again, that is not a political opinion. People have been fired and caught for that. Okay, that's evidence. So that's troubling. So there needs to be a special committee, a special investigation team that oversees and follows that. The other thing that I want you to know is that it is actually good leadership for the investigators of this not to be releasing a bunch of these details. It is good leadership for them to only give the most substantial facts that are really broad brushstrokes. If they're doing an investigation and they're releasing details of the investigation along the way, and that leads to a trail of people down the road, they're tilting their hand and they're not going to capture that evidence or capture those people that somehow possibly could have aided or encouraged or provided resources to him in any way. So I want you to understand that that is good leadership for law enforcement not to be talking a whole lot about the investigation, just give a little bit of updates as they can. The poor leadership is this. Anyone, as soon as it is discovered that it was my failure that this catastrophe happened, I allowed a president to be shot under my watch, those people need to be pulled from the position, immediately demoted and suspended and investigated. Okay? And ultimately, the buck stops at the on-scene commander of the Secret Service overseeing the event. Huge gaps in coverage. Look at some of my tactical breakdown videos on YouTube or on Instagram or TikTok. Those tactical breakdowns are a little longer in nature, but they explain the amount of incompetency that happened in the leadership and the planning, the logistics, the resources, and the execution of safety on that day. So those people need to immediately step down. You will see good leadership if somebody takes accountability for the actions and says, I failed at the highest level in my role. And that leads me to Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service. She has made a statement that basically, in summary, says, I ain't going anywhere. And this is going to be really, really terrible leadership, because what's going to happen is she should have just made a statement that says, I'm investigating everything that happened down my chain of command to see if my orders were disobeyed anywhere, to see if my policies were violated anywhere. And if I find that any of these things happen, any of these incompetence happen, I will personally make sure that they were taken care of and those people are held accountable. That would have been a great statement. But instead, she's just like, no, I'm not leaving. People are calling for me to resign. Well, that's not going to happen. Well, Congress and the American public, the citizens, need to absolutely demand that she resigns, since she is not doing the first option that she should have done. Secondly, the buck stops with her. So if you are the person that allocated resources, approved plans, anything came across your desk and the president got shot, that's on you. That is on you, Kim Cheadle. So you need to step down. This is unbelievable, the precedents that you're setting in this country. And I think, unfortunately, what we're going to find is that there's a lot of background things going on here. There are a lot of pieces in play, people being moved from one area to another. If you made your decisions to appoint resources and personnel and equipment based on any diversity-based thing, I'm sorry, guys, I love diversity. I hire mostly women, in fact. But if I make my decisions because diversity's sake, then we're in trouble. You sacrifice safety for diversity's sake. If you sacrifice safety for any type of image, if you sacrifice safety, genuine calls for concern, and you dismissed and waved off credible threats, that leadership is on you. And then we're also going to find Homeland Security, possibly even FBI and CIA type level intelligence. The level of intelligence that we have in the modern world, and more specifically in the United States, is they can track every phone call, every internet search. They can hear every conversation if they want to. And a couple of strokes of a keyboard with the powered AI that we have at our disposal, it is impossible not to discover these types of threats and incidents even before they happen. We have countries around the world, not as free as the United States, but they can prevent all of these incidents before they ever start. because they're using the power of their intelligence, their AI-driven platforms, and things like that. And we have that at our fingertips, and we're exposed to all of those things even better than some of these countries. But for some reason, we're not able to foresee events like this, and we have huge gaps in coverage. Those people at the intelligence agencies need to be looked at for their failures. We need comments from all of them in Congress. You need to get on the horse, and you need to stampede and track down all of the incompetence here and hold people accountable. Demonstrate that leadership for us, and if we as an American nation see that, we can applaud the response to a terrible thing. But we don't want to also shake our fists at a terrible response to something that almost killed a world leader, a former world leader, and almost changed the face of a nation. So be paying attention. I'll be releasing additional leadership videos. I'm actually going to comment on J.D. Vance as well. So stay tuned, and we're going to get all of this covered, and we're going to keep you guys up to date.